Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of You Say Maize, I Say Blue. Yes, I am Chris Cichon. That's Danny Sass, being reinstated after violating WOLV's substance and steroid policy. I apologize.
If anyone needs the steroids, it's
oh wow,
this kid
put those away there, Danny. This is public television.
How we do.
Danny, this is the last episode of 2007. Christmas is right around the corner.
So is Hanukkah.
Holidays, Hanukkah's just starting, and I think we know how to start the show. We're veterans, so let's go ahead and do it. Danny, you can go ahead and say Maize. I'm going to say Blue, as in Les Miles can deny it until he's blue in the face. I still think he's coming to Michigan.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Chris, you can go ahead and say Blue. I'm going to say Maize, as in I am amazed that you still think he's coming to Michigan because he said it about as clear as he could have said it. He said yes, and then he said what appeared to be no, no again, the definitive no, and then just one more time to top it all off, he said, I am not coming to Michigan. He appears to be coaching at LSU next year. Why do you still think he's going to come here?
Well, no, he hasn't signed anything yet, Danny. I mean, they said they have a new deal where he's going to make supposedly a lot of money at LSU for the next several seasons.
Okay.
But he hasn't signed anything, and until I see that he signed something, I don't believe him, because when I hear Les Miles talk, I see that he's a Michigan man. And, you know, there's a difference. You hear some coaches talking, you hear Les Miles talking, you see the difference, and that difference is the Michigan that's inside of Les Miles. That's how this guy talks. He talks just like Bo. He talks with enthusiasm. He talks with integrity. He says what he means, and you just saw that in the press conference when he's denying him how much heart he has into this issue, how his heart must be torn apart right now. I feel bad for him personally.
But Chris, he said it about as definitively as he could have said it.
Danny, what else?
He ain't coming here.
What else is he going to do, Danny? I mean, those reports by Herb Street in Ohio State alone.
Well, I know. I mean, he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. I'm not going to argue that.
Right.
But, I mean, again, no matter how the situation pans out for him now, he's going to go down as a villain somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I really don't think he wants. I mean, he has an LSU team that he is built up into a yearly national title contender. You have to look at the fact that this team is still playing in a national championship game in a month from now, Chris. Do you really think Michigan is going to wait a month to announce a coaching candidate?
No, they're not going to wait a month. I tell you what they're doing as we speak, Danny. They're talking to Les Miles. Nobody knows about this, sure, and you know I don't have any facts to back this up. But here's what I think is happening. They're talking to Les Miles. They're saying, hey, we know you got some business to handle come January 8th. Go ahead, take care of that. But we're promising you the job is on the table. They're going to tell him some big sum of money, hopefully what they should be offering. They should be offering a lot of money to get him here. They're going to say, you know what, do what you got to do. January 9th, let's talk, and we can get underway for the 2008 season.
Well, Chris, let's go ahead and say Miles signs this contract. Just for argument's sake here, we have Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, we have Greg Schiano at Rutgers, we have a couple other coaches, Brady Hoke at Ball State.
Tedford out in California.
Who would you like to see as your Michigan coach? Would you like to stay in the system, maybe a Ron English?
You know what? I don't want any of them. I want Les Miles here. Les Miles is the guy. There's no better candidate out there to take this job. I mean, he's got it all. He's got the recruiting. He's got the past here.
Well, let's say he doesn't come.
Okay, let's say
he resigns.
Let's say then I keep it in-house with a guy like Ron English, a guy that's very passionate, very enthusiastic about the game, who can really get motivation out of his players. I think English would be the next choice.
Right now,
I don't want Ferentz.
Looks like Ferentz.
I don't want an Iowa guy coaching Michigan. I don't want an Iowa guy coaching. Anyway, Danny, behind all this coaching mess, I don't know if you saw it, Michigan accepted a bid to play in the Capital One Bowl come January 1st in Orlando, Florida, which is where I'm from, so I'll be at that game. I'm happy, and I think, you would agree with me.
Does that say lucky to get an Orlando bid? Because, I mean, you can call this lucky in the fact that, yeah, it's nice weather, they get their New Year's Bowl, they're playing a real team in the Florida Gators.
Right.
But they're terribly unlucky in the fact that they're facing a running quarterback. They're facing a Florida team that is bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic, and straight up better.
Yeah.
They're going to get dominated on both sides of the ball. They're going to lose this game pretty badly.
Yeah, I'm not going to go to the game to watch Michigan win. I'll tell you that. I mean, Florida has just so many athletes. I mean, from the first string to the third string, their second string can probably beat Michigan. I'll tell you that.
How does Michigan match up with them anyway?
Here's what they do. They play Michigan football, and this is what they didn't do last year against USC when I know they could have won that game with that team last year. They need to play power football, run the ball right up the gut, because Florida cannot stop the run right up the middle. You can't go east and west, right up the gut. And then on defense, make them stop the run. Make them throw the ball. And Tebow, yeah, he runs the football, but he's not so fast like a Dennis Dixon or a Troy Smith from years past.
Yeah, more of a fullback mold.
More of a fullback, and that power is going to meet our power at linebacker. John Thompson, Chris Graham, hit him in the mouth. He's a tough guy. I don't think you can get him out of the game, but if you hit him in the mouth enough, he'll bang.
Keep in mind, Percy Harvin can run the football as well.
One of those athletes, yeah.
They have athletes everywhere. You can
Ingram,
look at guys like Caldwell.
They're very good.
Do you really see this game staying close? I mean, Adam Wallace said yesterday on the hour-long special of Varsity Blue that he thinks Michigan can keep this game close and respectable. I see it getting out of hand early. What about you?
They can keep it close and respectable if they do the things I just said. They need to play Michigan football, and they can. They need to impose their will on the Gators, not the other way around, and then they can do it. Still, I mean, just a very tough matchup. Urban Meyer's a great coach down there in Florida. He's going to have Michigan read like a book. But, I mean, Lloyd Carr, this is his last game. I mean, 33 consecutive bowl appearances for Michigan. There's a lot of pride behind that, and they haven't won a bowl game, and I don't even know how long it's been now. But I mean, if Lloyd Carr loses this game, he's going to be 6-7 in bowl games. That's not going to look so good next to his Ohio State record.
I think you and I can both agree that a win here would definitely salvage what's been an otherwise
Capital One Bowl
season.
is a very nice bowl, game, respectable bowl.
It's a nice bowl. It's not the BCS, Chris, and that brings us over to our next topic. Did they get it right this year? We have Ohio State, LSU, two of the top teams in the nation. Did they get it right?
I think they did. I mean, this is going to be the best matchup right here, if you ask me. I mean, LSU, by far, the most talented team in the country.
Okay.
Ohio State, I think you can make a case that they have the best defense in the country, led by Jim Tressel, and it's just genius.
I want to hear you back up the LSU as the most talented team in the country, because I've watched this team play, Chris. They haven't looked that great.
Well,
really, they haven't.
That's because they've been in the SEC, and I mean, the talent level is so close together between those schools, between an Arkansas and an LSU and a South Carolina and a Georgia and a Tennessee and a Florida, and it keeps going and going and going.
Kentucky, though, really?
And Kentucky.
Really?
They have a Heisman candidate quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean, you can make the argument all you want that the SEC is stronger and better than the rest of the country, but it seems like LSU is getting all this love simply because they're LSU, Chris, not because they've been playing the best football. You want to see the best football? Look at Oklahoma. Look at a team like
Oklahoma
USC.
lost to Colorado.
Understandable, but LSU lost to Arkansas. So
Arkansas, yeah, by Darren McFadden, who probably might win the Heisman.
Understandable, but Chris, it's not like Arkansas.
Danny, we talked about this before the game. 15 years ago, when there were no ties,
Arkansas
there was no overtime. When there was no overtime 15 years ago, LSU would be undefeated this season. They'd be 11-0-2 or something like that. Stat boy can correct me, but I mean,
right now they're sitting at 11-2, and what is 11-2, 10-2, regardless. They have those two losses. What about it? I mean, does a team like USC, who's been beating up on everybody recently and playing some good football,
everybody's talking about USC and Georgia because they got hot at the end of the season. But that's not what this is about.
I mean, it seems to me like the pollsters manipulated the votes so that they could get the teams that they wanted into the national title game. How an idle team like Ohio State jumps, but an idle team like Georgia falls is beyond me. I don't understand, and I'm simply playing devil's advocate because I do kind of think that they got it right. But so many teams can make that claim, Chris.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the system. And I think this doesn't prove that absolutely that we need a playoff. I don't think we need a playoff. I just think we need bowl games because of the tradition, and that's what college football is defined by around the holidays. I think they need the bowl games, and then add a couple more games on.
Well, regardless, LSU, Ohio State.
It's going to be a good game. Very good game. It's going to be.
It should be.
Danny, we're going to switch from the gridiron to the ice. And I don't know if you saw this. Michigan, the hockey team, had a nice winning streak going on there. And they took the ice at Yost Arena Friday night and lost to you-know-who, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Danny, I'm starting to think we can't beat that school at anything.
No, here's the thing, though, all right? There's no such thing as a big upset in hockey. Hockey's one of those sports where, you go out, you play one bad game, you lose, no big deal. Such is life. Okay, Michigan comes out. They lose the game 3-2. Sauer didn't play that well. They still dominated in shots on goal. They still had the better scoring chances. They just couldn't put the puck in the net. And that's going to happen some nights, Chris. But what I look at in this series as a whole is Michigan bouncing back from that 3-2 loss. And the freshmen, you have kids like your Matt Russ with a goal and an assist, and a Carl Hagen.
Pacioretty's my favorite.
Pacioretty, you know where he's from, right?
It sounds like Italian. Oh, Connecticut, okay.
When a kid like Pacioretty with 2 goals and then 3 assists for Aaron Palusha, the freshman came back after probably the most disappointing game of the season, and they single-handedly, or quadruple-handedly, the 4 freshmen, led the team to victory against an okay Ohio State hockey team, and that's very big for Michigan to not get swept on their home ice.
Yeah, and I think this could prove a very big, it was a loss, and it's going to hurt them at the end of the year when you look at that, but I think it could prove very good for this team because Berenson's going to tell these young guys, you know what, now you know what it's like to have something that you lose, especially to your rival. Regardless, anytime you lose to Ohio State, you don't like it. It's, unacceptable in my eyes to lose to that school down there in a state below Michigan. But I think this could be a big wake-up call for them, and they could ride this into the college hockey or the GLI at Joe Louis Arena over the holidays and ride it into 2008 as well.
Here's the thing. You see a lot of times someone hits a speed bump in the middle of the season. If Michigan had gotten swept and lost both games to Ohio State, people would be talking right now. Oh, this is terrible. They were overrated. They're not a very good team to begin with. Oh, their youth is catching up with them. Their inexperience is catching up with them. They bounced back the next night. They took it to them. They were the more physical, the better, the stronger team. And now we're fine. 3rd in the nation. Everything's fine.
Okay.
Nice little debut for Brian Hogan getting a win with 26 saves.
Yeah, get him a little bit of confidence.
All will be well. They're good.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
All right.
Cool.
Let's move on.
Moving on. Basketball, not so good.
Hockey, I didn't know that was the next topic.
Hockey might have had a loss, but basketball had a big loss to Harvard of all places.
Harvard? They play basketball?
Tommy Amaker getting a win against his former boys. What does this mean?
Obviously, it proves that, you know, these Harvard bookworms over there can just beat our kids, and it doesn't make us look very good. And personally, I'm embarrassed to lose at anything to Harvard. I mean, Tommy Amaker, I don't know if it's much of a revenge. I don't know, how much bad blood there is there, really. But, I mean, these kids for the Michigan team, they're just so young. I mean, they're 3-5 right now. Beeline's trying to...
Well, John Beilein warned this would happen. He said there's going to be downtimes, there's going to be hard times.
And granted.
And they're going to have to take their lumps. There's only one senior. Ron Coleman can only do so much from that position. And you have your kids like your Manny Harrises and your Deshaun Sims and your Kelvin Grady's who, young kids getting their first real chunks of playing time, they're going to hit their growing pains. This was one of them. And I know it looks bad because it's Harvard. And, maybe if it was Penn or Princeton or one of those Ivy League teams that's actually done something in the past, that'd be one thing. Harvard?
You know what I'm worried about? You know what I'm worried about?
Come on.
Once we get to the Big Ten, though, I'm worried that we're just going to be totally disrespected all year and just embarrassed like this through the entire Big Ten season. I mean, you look at it, we can't rebound, Danny. Ron Coleman is our leading rebounder at 5.5 a game.
Good.
Zach Gibson, Epe Udo, I mean, you got a wingspan longer than this set, and he can't get more than 3 rebounds a game. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I mean, here's the thing. Obviously, there's going to be times this season where this, they like shooting the long ball. We saw 5 for 20 against Harvard. Obviously, not great numbers, but they can drain the 3. They can hit from outside. One of these games they're going to catch fire.
They can. They're only shooting 35%.
I know, but you got to figure it's one of those things, Chris. Growing pains is all it is.
Yep.
They're going to get to the point where they're going to have to start making the shots.
They got the kids. I like this Harris fella and this Sims
wait
guy.
Wait till they grow.
Brady.
In 2 years from now, when we're obviously out in the real world doing real world things, maybe this basketball team will be pretty good.
We'll see.
So we'll wait and see.
We'll see. Moving back to the gridiron now, we're going to talk a little NFL football, Danny. The Detroit Lions started 6-2. Now they've lost 4 in a row. John Kitna said they win 10 games. Right now they're at 6. They got 4 to go. They got to win out to guarantee his prediction.
Chris,
what's going to happen
They've pretty much hit rock bottom. 42-10 to the Vikings. Roy Williams likely out for the season. And you ready for this schedule coming up? They still got Dallas.
I know.
They still got Green Bay. They still got San Diego.
And
I can't see them winning another. Maybe Kansas City if they luck out. But Chris,
Kansas City's a good team.
Chris, count them out.
I know. What I'm
I was so high on them, sitting at 6-2. I was sitting here for my DJ on the mic, and I was looking into that camera, and I was saying,
"Wow,
Chris,
themselves.
They're a good football team. Look at the Detroit Lions running wild in the NFC."
They screwed themselves when they lost to Arizona a couple weeks back. That was a must-win game.
As well.
Must-win game against Minnesota on the road last weekend. They had to win that to have a chance. I think. Right now, as a Lions fan, personally, I'm just hoping for an 8-8 season. Try and get us to 500, Marinelli. And then, we'll talk about 2008.
Chris, all things considered, this is the NFC. 8-8 could still get the Detroit Lions into the playoffs. I mean, at this point, you have to realize who are the other 6-6 teams? You have the Arizona Cardinals and the Minnesota Vikings.
Right. And Detroit, then the 5-7 Saints and the 5-7 somebody else, I think, too.
Maybe it's the Panthers?
Something like I don't think that's
something
Panthers.
Like that.
Stat Boy, correct
we'll figure it out. Stat Boy will get on that for us. But all things considered, they're still alive for a playoff berth. And once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen, as we've seen in sports over the last couple of years. So, from the outside, you can probably count this team out, but who knows? All it takes is one upset.
It's not going to happen. They don't have an offensive line. I mean, the defense has been unsteady all year. I mean, the offensive line is the biggest thing. They can't protect Kitna, and they can't run the football when they need to. I mean, that's the bad thing.
42-10 to the Vikings, not good.
No, and the problem is Kitna's been on his back more times than not, and you just can't win in an offense like that. I mean, if you give him protection, we saw it in St. Louis with Mike Martz's system. If you give him protection, John Kitna could be a pro ball quarterback.
Well, hey,
he can make all the throws.
They definitely gave their fans hope. Lions fans every single season look forward to what
definitely
3-4 wins. They came out, they took it to some real quality teams in the beginning of the season. I think this team has a young core of kids, great receivers, and Roy Williams and your Calvin Johnsons. They'll be around.
Yeah, look for them in 2008. Marinella's got a good thing going. Got to stick with them.
Well, look for us in 2008.
Can't turn the ship now.
We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back with WOLV college basketball analyst Alex Prasad. So stay tuned here on WOLV TV.
There's a pie eating contest.
Hey, Billy, you want to go grab some dinner?
Jenny, hey, what is this? Hey guys, what's going on? Wait guys, let's all go catch some wait, what are you doing? What are you watching?
E-Buzz.
E-Buzz. What's the big deal about E-Buzz?
What's the big deal about E-Buzz? It's the entertainment buzz on WOLV TV. It's got what's hot in Hollywood, style segments. It'll tell you what's happening around the U. It's even got the box office buzz.
The box office buzz? You mean things I can catch about movies this weekend?
Yeah, movies this weekend. Plus, it even has exclusive celebrity interviews with people like Will Smith and Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld? I love Seinfeld.
Well, then you should be watching the entertainment buzz right here on WOLV TV.
So get buzzed!
What's going on, everybody? It's Rocky.
I'm Jerry Seinfeld.
What's up? It's Will Smith.
And you're watching WOLV TV?
You are watching WOLV TV. Yes, I'm watching WOLV TV. Or no, you're watching it. I'm not watching it. I'm on it. You're watching it. WOLV TV.
We love it.
Welcome back to You Say Maize, I Say Blue. Chris Cichon, Danny Sass. We're going to jump right into the main event. Danny, it's college basketball season, believe it or not. Just a couple games in now, and we're going to bring in our analyst, Alex Prasad, who says he knows a little bit about this sport, and so we're going to ask him a few questions. Alex, how you doing today?
As a Michigan college basketball fan, I can't go there. But college basketball does excite me outside of Michigan.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat here, Alex. Let's just jump right into it with the questions. Tell us, who are some of these freshmen, fantastic freshmen, that we keep hearing about so far this year?
Well, they're all over the place, Chris, and it's because of that new minimum age rule in the NBA. You know, all these kids have to go to college now, at least for 1 year. And you start out, you know, Derrick Rose at Memphis is leading that team to what looks to be, you know, one of the best starts ever. They play USC tonight, which is December 4th. You also have O.J. Mayo at USC, so that'll be a good matchup, the two freshmen. And of course, you know, O.J. Mayo is the guy, you know, it's supposed to be the next King James, so we'll see how that works out for him. Michael Beasley at Kansas State. You got, you know, Kevin Love at UCLA, and also Kyle Singler at Duke, and those two guys, both from Oregon, they have a little rivalry, and I don't know how much UCLA and Duke will play each other. But then one guy that we might be able to see at Chrysler Arena sometime is Eric Gordon, guard at Indiana, but he has a soft tissue injury that he suffered last night, somewhere around his back. I don't know what that means, but...
Oh, great joke, Sass. Fantastic. All right, moving on real quick here. Alex, which team looks to be the most impressive team so far?
Well, you got to go with Memphis. They've already beat UConn, and as I said, they play USC tonight. But here's the thing. Memphis, of course, has that notoriously easy Conference USA schedule, and that's going to hurt them, you know, when it comes to, you know, trying to get a #1 seed. And for as good as their non-conference, you know, play has been, we'll see what happens when they're at the end of the long conference schedule.
Now, Alex, I know this is going to be tough here. I'm going to ask you, what's the toughest conference outside, of course, of the Mountain West Conference out there in the Western region? Besides that one, what's the best conference out there this year?
Well, Chris, I have to go with another Western Conference. It's going to be the Pac-10. So all the 10 teams in the Pac-10, you got number 22 Arizona, you got number 19 Oregon, you got number 8 Wazoo, which is Washington State, and number 7 UCLA. You got some really good players out there. You know, Chase Budinger, the volleyball/basketball player at Arizona, and of course Malik Harrison on Oregon, who's, you know, spurned his hometown Michigan Wolverines. You know, he's from Detroit to play for the Ducks. So.
Not bad. Well, we've seen these teams in the Pac-10. You know, you also got the ACC. A lot of stacked conferences, even Texas down there in the Big 12. So everyone's good. Are we have any teams that are real up-and-comers that you're looking at this season?
Well, it kills me, but I got to go with Ohio State. They're a very young team. They still got Jamar Butler. You know, they graduated a whole bunch of guys for the coach.
Bad answer. I'm just going to tell you right now.
Okay, you can move me. It's fine. But, you know, they got young players, and for as much as we hate to admit it, Thad Matta is a good coach. I mean, he did well at Xavier, and he's doing well, of course, at Ohio State. And, you know, maybe, you know, we can teach the young guys to, you know, walk and chew gum at the same time, as well as play good basketball.
Providing a little humor, that's nice always. Danny, or Alex, we got the last question for you here. Simply, who is the best player in college basketball this season?
Well, he's probably the most hated player in Illinois, and I have to go with Eric Gordon. Of course, he signed his letter of intent with Illinois, and then when Kelvin Sampson was hired by Indiana, jumped ship to Indiana, and he's been playing really great as long as he recovers from that injury that we talked about a little bit earlier.
Okay. Going with the freshman, huh?
The Michigan Wolverines are going to be seeing their fair share of him this year, Chris.
Not looking forward to that.
That could be problematic given that Harvard's already taken it to the Wolverines this year. We can only imagine what the Hoosiers are going to do. Alex Prasad, thanks a lot for coming on our show today.
Thanks, guys.
Chris and I are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will have the Pick'em segment and some odds. Stay tuned.
Yes. Hello? Hi. What does the G-spot even stand for?
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
Yeah. Hello? About poking. Do I poke before I message, or do I message before I poke?
Welcome back to YSM ISB, last episode of 2007. Danny, let's keep it moving right into the Pick'em segment right now. Voice of God, tell us, what's up?
Johan Santana's new team, Boston Red Sox or New York Yankees?
Take it away, go.
You know what? I'm not really sure where he's going to go. He might just end up right back with the Twins.
He might. Go ahead. Are you going to take the Yankees?
The best offer on the table is the Yankees offer because Melky Cabrera is a flat-out superstar, and he's going to be. He's got all the tools, and then Phil Hughes is a great pitching prospect. Compare that to Boston's offer. I think Ellsbury is not going to be as good as Cabrera, and plus they're not going to be able to get John Lester and Ellsbury together like you can get with the New York deal.
Here's the thing. The Yankees, obviously, as you know, Chris, imposed that. I think it's personally ridiculous. A Monday deadline, and the Twins didn't balk.
It's the Yankees.
What are the Twins?
They're the Yankees.
Yeah, but now they've pretty much played themselves out of the race, and Boston, who originally looked only to be in there to maybe jack up the price for the Yankees,
might
suddenly
wind up with
Boston could wind up with them. You ready for this? Boston could wind up with a rotation of Johan Santana, Kurt Schilling,
Josh Beckett, and
Dice-K. That team could
John
be,
Lester maybe,
and Buckhold still even. So this could be ridiculous.
You might just want to hand him the rings again.
Might have worked out rather poorly for the Yankees. I think he'll go to Boston.
Okay.
Ellsbury, Lester, and maybe a prospect.
All right, we'll see. Next Pick'em segment.
Pick'em, NFC second wild card team, Vikings, Cardinals, or Lions?
Danny, talk to me.
Minnesota Vikings. I like their schedule.
Concur.
I like their schedule down the stretch. I like the way Tavares Jackson, believe it or not, is playing football. I like their defense. I think their defense is one of the best defenses in the NFL right now. And they, obviously, Adrian Peterson back, and with Chester Taylor running well, they got themselves a fantastic two-headed running back that can score points on anybody. And Sidney Rice emerging as a real receiver and even threw a 79-yard pass. So this team has the tools.
I'm picking the Vikings on this one, too, and I'll tell you why. It's because now it's December, and we're going to get into January, and they got the tools, what you need to win when it gets cold. They can stop the run, number one in the NFL, defending the run. You got Pat Williams and Kevin Williams on there, 700 pounds of beef to clog up the middle, and then they can run the football. You said Peterson and Taylor, great 1-2 punch there.
If you're a team like Dallas, do you want to see those two backs running at you in the playoffs?
I don't. I mean, Dallas has a solid defense, but I mean, that offensive line, you got Matt Burke, who's a Pro Bowler at center, Steve Hutchinson, a Michigan man at left guard, and then the big old Brian McKinney at left tackle.
Could you give him the Big Ugly some credit on the show?
I know my offensive line. Those are football players right there, baby.
All right, well, Chris, we're going to move on to the odds segment. What are the odds that Jake Long, another Big Ugly himself, is a top 5 pick in April's NFL draft?
I don't think he's ugly. He's a pretty good-looking guy, I might say. So.
Big Ugly as a term.
I'll put this at 60%, Danny. I mean, I would put it higher, but it's just the NFL Combine. You never know what could happen. You could get an injury. Something terrible could happen.
He's got all the tools.
He's going to be a great pro.
Look at the Combine. Look at what he's done in college. I have it 90%.
Two-time All-American Lombardi.
Again, I suppose it depends on individual teams' needs. But
yeah, exactly. It does. I mean, Lombardi and Outland finalist, two-time All-American. This guy, he's done it all at this level. I think he's going to do it all at the next level, too. Next one, moving on. Bo Pelini this past week hired as the Nebraska Cornhuskers' new head coach. Do you see him? What are the odds he returns that program to prominence?
Depends how long he stays there. It's going to take him at least 10 years, I'll tell you that much, because this team is not good. I mean, you watch them. 76 points to Kansas, how many did they give up to Colorado?
Bo Pelini is a defensive guy.
I know he is.
If they get that defense back, that black shirt defense, I think they can
you
come
have
back.
to be more than a defensive guy to fix what's happened to this team. Call it 30%.
Maybe so. I got it at 40, a little bit higher. I just think that Nebraska name isn't what it was 20 years ago. The kids aren't going to come there, but I think Pelini, if he gets that defense, they could be like the Bears of college football.
Well,
maybe.
It could take a while. Chris, what are the odds that the Steelers and the Patriots unbeaten streak?
I got it at 15%. I mean, this is what the Patriots want. They want everybody to think that they're vulnerable now, and if they're struggling, they're not struggling. Give me this. They're working on they're working on things that me and you don't even know about, Danny. Sure, they're not playing their best. The offensive line isn't giving as much protection to Brady, but I mean, that's just a sign of the season wearing down.
I have it at 10%. I don't think it'll happen, but if it does, I just want to point out that the Jets beat the Steelers, and if the Steelers beat the Patriots, then therefore the Jets should beat the Patriots. basic math right there.
Got to have a Jets reference in here, huh?
Had to.
All right, keep it moving. Volleyball. I don't know if you see this. They upset Colorado State this past weekend in the NCAA tournament.
Sweet 16?
Into the Sweet 16. First time in school history. What are the chances they continue this upset streak against Penn State?
Low, 10%. They've lost to Penn State twice this season. They struggled down the stretch. It's nice that they got that one upset win, but Penn State dominated twice in the regular season.
I got it at 10% too. It's at State College. It's going to be a rough atmosphere there. I mean, you got Katie Brzezinski, Lindsey Miller, Beth Karpiak, all those girls playing together for possibly the last time. Maybe you never know.
You never know. That's why they play the game.
We'll have to see. Danny,
Chris,
we just heard the horn.
I'm just tossing you off right now because it's my turn to do my thing.
Go ahead.
And check it out. Hawaii is for real, and I'm saying it like this. If Hawaii beats Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and let's say they beat them convincingly, let's say they run up the score, they put 56 points, Colt Brennan goes wild, 56-21 Hawaii over Georgia. How do you not vote them into how do you not vote them as a co-national championship team this year? I mean, Chris, they've done everything they possibly could they've won all of their football games. I don't care about the schedule they play because we've seen Michigan lose to Appalachian State. We've seen West Virginia lose to Pitt. We've seen USC lose to Stanford. You got to reward a team for going through their schedule and beating all the teams that they play. I'm telling you, I know they're not the greatest football team out there, but a 13-0 season deserves a national title.
I don't think so, Danny.
Hey,
not when they used to be called the Rainbow Warriors.
Hey, man.
I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to have that.
Forget
I'm sorry.
the team name.
Forget that garbage.
Right,
Let's move on to Big C Spree. Let's talk about some good things. And folks, this past week when Sean Taylor was tragically shot and killed in his Miami home, you know, a lot of issues were put up in the media and throughout. You know, it's just a big shame in my eyes. I mean, it's a shame that, you know, Taylor, guy who's trying to turn his life around and change his ways, you know, was killed in the process. It's a shame that his 1-year-old daughter isn't going to have her own father to look up to as she grows older. It's a shame for the Redskins to have to finish a season like this and they may not win another game. But, you know, it's also a shame that the media seems to forget what kind of guy this was. And you know, it's all good and, you know, that's fine because he died and all. But, I mean, this is a guy that spit in another man's face during a game, Danny. This is a man that almost took a punter's life on a stupid play during a Pro Bowl last year. I don't know if you saw it, one of the most ferocious hits I've ever seen on the field. Almost killed the guy. And you know, this is a guy that everybody wants to feel so sorry for and everything, you know, and granted, but I mean, he did some things back then, and it changed my perception about him. I know it did a lot for a lot of other people.
Well, he wasn't a saint, but he will be remembered.
He will be remembered either way. So with that, let's take it over to staff boy Charlie Clinton, and I think we had a few mess-ups.
No, he's got nothing for us today, man.
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, God.
I got some a spelling mistake here for Cichon for spelling alma mater with 2 T's. It only has 1. LSU, if this was 1990, would be 11-0-2, not 15-0-2, because they've played 13 games. The Bears are also 5-7. You forgot to mention them as well.
Well,
down Chicago.
Charlie earning his paycheck this week right there.
Well done, Charlie. He had nothing on me there, did he?
I don't think so. It's probably I haven't been here in a while.
Perfect.
I'm sorry. A little
you,
rusty.
I'm going 9
little
innings
rusty.
strong. 9 innings strong every game. I do what I do. What's up with Evil Knievel? Oh, wait, quick.
Email graphic, wolv.mazeblue@umich.edu. We'll be checking it every day during Christmas and holiday break, so make sure you get
email
it to
us. We love email. We
please,
love it.
Please, we'd like to read. But back to Evil Knievel.
Yes, Evil
Dies
Knievel.
at the age of 69, and the interesting thing is, you know, that he made it all the way to 69.
Yeah.
After all those accidents that he had, I mean, just an American icon, really. When
and there's a lawsuit developing over his estate right now, so we'll see how that plays out. But a lot of money in that Knievel estate. Andy Pettit coming back to the Yankees gives him a pretty legit rotation with or without Santana. You got Pettit, you got Wong.
He's good. I mean, went 11-3 after the break last year.
Java.
And you know Pettit in the playoffs is money, so I mean, that's a good move there.
Who's Timmy?
Timmy, that guy, Tim Duncan. Oh, yeah, Tim Duncan, former Hall of Famer. He's got a bad ankle, bad knee. MRI was negative, but he's going to miss Wednesday's game against the Mavericks.
Jackson, Bowden, wrap it up, quick, go.
Phil Jackson, two-year extension with the Lakers. Bowden's, Tommy going back to Clemson. Bobby, another year at FSU. Unfortunately for the Seminoles, another year of mediocrity.
Well, I'm used to the mediocrity as a Florida State fan. So.
Danny, that's all the time that I got. It was a great episode. It was good to be back. As for Danny Sass, I am Chris Cichon. We're going to take a break for the rest of the year, but we'll see you come January of 2008. So long, folks. Have a good holiday.